Good evening, I'm MC Strong, and you're watching WHHI's Hilton Head Today. Well, the Walter Greer Gallery at the Art Center of Coastal Carolina is presenting Painting the Good Life, the Art of Coby Whitmore. And here to talk about the current exhibit at the Art Center of Coastal Carolina, we're joined by LaRoche, Martha Ahrens, and Marilyn Boyles. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Now, Luann, tell us about the current exhibit.
Well, it's been on for a couple of weeks, and it's going to continue until the 28th of this month. The exhibit is Coby Whitmore's original illustrations that were used for the Saturday Evening Post, Good Housekeeping, Red Book. They're from, the earliest one is from 1938 through the late 60s.
So these are famous photos or artworks.
They are the original artworks.
They're the originals, and that's something that I really want to point out. These aren't the prints. These aren't the photos. These are the originals. Your family had them? Right.
We had the privilege to know the Whitmores, Jenny and Coby Whitmore, and many of the illustrators that Hilton Head was so fortunate to have come and live over the years. They all worked together at Cooper's studio in New York. Coby Whitmore and the rest of the illustrators I met when I owned the Red Piano Art Gallery, and my parents just loved illustration and American artwork in general, and my father and Coby really hit off a wonderful relationship, and it so happened that these works were lost and found at Syracuse University by Joe Bowler. Yes, and they came back to the island, and we had the great fortune of being able to keep them together and show them in New York, and have exhibited them at the Red Piano a number of years ago, and now for the last time together, as far as I know, because both my parents are deceased now, my brother and sister and I will be enjoying them in our homes. So.
Oh, wow. Now, Marilyn, I just want to apologize. I said your name wrong when we did the introduction. Of course, Joe Bowler, your husband, Marilyn Bowler. How did the two gentlemen, your husband and Coby, meet?
At Cooper Studios.
Okay.
Joe went in at 18 to Cooper Studios as an apprentice and what they called a bullpen boy, which was his job was to mat and the illustrations to go to the magazines. He was cleaned palettes and had a chance to do his own work at night, sometimes all night. And Coby Whitmore was a superstar illustrator and a most generous-spirited man, and he was so helpful to my husband that he helped create a head-to-head competitor for the same jobs in the same magazines, along with Joe DeBars, who was there, and another artist who lives here now, Bernard D'Andrea, also was there. And then our friend Murray Tinkleman, who came in as a much younger fella, I think he's probably 10 years younger than Joe, came in and did an entirely different kind of illustration. And he's going to be lecturing at the Art Center on Saturday at 2 o'clock, and he will be talking about the Romance era of illustration, Coby Whitmore as the exemplar.
Because they definitely capture it. You know, I know you brought some photos, and we're going to turn to that in just a second. But you know, he was such an influence on your husband, but your husband's been such an influence on other artists and other young artists. How did they come to the area? Were they
to the area?
How did they come to Hilton Head Island? How did you all decide?
You mean
your husband?
Well, Coby came first.
Coby, okay.
His friend was Dr. Bill Fries. They grew up together, who was the only doctor on the island, a wonderful family. Joe DeMars came a year or so later and opened a gallery in Harbortown, the Joe DeMars Gallery, he and his wife. And now it's the John Stobart Gallery. And then we were looking for a warmer climate. My husband had polio when he was 30 and then damaged his legs. And we wanted to get out of the New York winters. So we were finally convinced it wasn't a retirement community. And we moved here, and then Bernie D'Andrea and his wife moved 10 years ago.
Wow, think back of how different Hilton Head would be, how less we would have if we didn't have this rich environment for artists. Luann, what about your family? When did they come to Hilton Head Island in the area?
My parents bought their second home in 1972. My father was from Savannah area, and so, and I've lived here since '77.
Perfect. You know, I'm going to see if we can turn to the photos now and share that there. Oh, wow. What do we see?
Though that is one of the two prints, signed limited edition prints that are available at the gallery for sale until Christmas. There are also a few other illustrations that are available. This one was on the Saturday Evening Post cover in 1955, October of 1955. This one is one of my favorites.
Oh, how he captures romance.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned.
He was known as people call it the clinch scene, where there are a lot of embracing going on in his illustration.
This is one of my favorites.
It was one of my mother's too, actually. It hung in her bedroom. And then a lot of the space that you find, that big open space that really works beautifully in the illustration itself, was used for the type, and the storyline would be put in there, or the lead into the story that you would read.
But to think
What's really interesting in the exhibit that Luann has provided to us is the actual reprint, the actual magazine that some of these showed in. And particularly interesting is the fact, and I think Marilyn and Joe were telling me about this, they considered that the original was not the original. They were creating for the print, to be printed. So it's, in a sense, you look at these artists before the technical color correction. They did it in their heads. They knew when they were putting those colors down what it was going to look like. So there are about 8 pieces that are still for sale, and Luann has the tear sheets, and you compare the what was in the magazine or book illustrations we have also with the original piece. The prints are beautiful. Island Ideas has done a lovely job of framing them, and we are selling those as either a pair or individual at, let me put it this way, very special pricing to honor Coby and this exhibit.
And they were done during his lifetime here on the
Yes,
island.
they're hand-signed by him and numbered.
Incredible. I didn't know all this. This has been so interesting to talk to you all. And this is something that we don't need to miss. And this is a once-in-a-lifetime
it is.
opportunity to stop by the Art Center and see the exhibit. How long is it running?
28th.
So we don't...
Through October 28th.
Okay.
But this lecture that Marilyn was referring to, I understand he's very entertaining. He's passionate about his subject. And that's at 2 o'clock. And we're also going to throw a little reception after the lecture so that people have a chance to meet him.
So that's this Saturday. If someone would like to attend, do they call the Art Center?
Yes, there's a $10 admission, which includes the reception after, and you can call the Art Center, or just, if you don't have a chance to, just show up.
Perfect, perfect. Well, Luann, Martha, and Marilyn, thank you so much for coming down, and thank you for sharing this with our community. This is something that we'll be sure to stop by the Art Center, and this Saturday is perfect to participate.
MC, may I add
Oh,
that Mary
please.
Tinkleman also is doing 2 back-to-back lectures tomorrow at the Telfair. Maxfield Parrish
Okay.
was a great illustrator from 1890s through 1930s, and Murray's going to be lecturing there.
So perfect. If we
Fascinating.
can't make it Saturday, this is another opportunity, and he's
Yes.
being so generous. So that's great.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back for more.